Joel, a very short little book, probably the latest prophetic book. It also contains apocalyptic material. The versification of Joel varies tremendously in different English translations, so I'm using the verse markings that are in the Bible you have, but if you consult another Bible, some of them have only 3 chapters, some have 4. It can be confusing. Well, we can divide Joel into 2 parts, up to chapter 2, verse 27. So that's the first part, from 1:1 to 2:27, or 1:2 really. And that contains a description of a military invasion. It's symbolized by an army of locusts. And this invasion, this army of locusts, is interpreted as a divine punishment that is necessary or that must come before the day of the Lord. The second part of Joel, which begins in verse 28 of chapter 2, is a fully apocalyptic description of the final day of terror. Reading from chapter 3, verses 3 and 4. Before the great and terrible day of the Lord comes, I will set portents in the sky and on earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. And the sun will be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord comes. But the righteous are going to survive. This is pointed out in chapter 3, verse 5. But everyone who invokes the name of the Lord shall escape, for there shall be a remnant on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem, as the Lord promised. As we move into chapter 4 of Joel, the day of the Lord is envisaged as a judgment day for all peoples. Right? So this is increasingly the view of the eschaton, a final battle, and also a judgment day. And that judgment day will then issue in a new age. This is an idea that the book of Daniel will elaborate on in a minute, not to mention the apocalyptic writings that are outside of the Hebrew Bible. In this judgment day, God will summon all of the godless nations to the valley of judgment, Jehoshaphat, which means God will judge. So the valley of Jehoshaphat. And here, the final battle between good and evil will take place, and after that, God's people will be blessed, and the holy city will never again suffer shame. For lo, in those days and in that time, when I restore the fortunes of Judah and Jerusalem, I will gather all the nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. And there I will contend with them over my very own people, Israel, which they scattered among the nations. Towards the end then of the book we read, let the nations rouse themselves and march up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there I will sit in judgment over all the nations round about. Swing the sickle, for the crop is ripe. Come and tread, for the winepress is full. The vats are overflowing, for great is their wickedness. But the Lord will be a shelter to his people, a refuge to the children of Israel. And Jerusalem shall be holy, never more shall strangers pass through it. And in that day the mountains shall drip with wine, the hills shall flow with milk, and all the watercourses of Judah shall flow with water. A spring shall issue from the house of the Lord, and shall water the wadi of acacias, and Judah shall be inhabited forever, and Jerusalem throughout the ages.